highways aren't empty. They just feel that way. That's the mistake people make. They think nothing is watching because there's nothing to see. I was driving home after midnight, no deadline, no rush, just miles of road ahead and nowhere I needed to be urgently. That's when highways feel the most dangerous, when you stop paying attention. The road I was on cut straight through open land, no houses, no lights, no exits for miles. The kind of place where your headlights feel weak, like they're being swallowed by the dark instead of cutting through it. I remember realizing I hadn't seen another car in a long time. Not past one. Not been passed. Nothing. Just me. At some point I started feeling observed. Not like someone was following me. More like the road itself was aware I was there. I checked my mirrors. Empty. Still, I turned the radio on, not for music, just to prove the silence wasn't absolute. Static. Even at full volume. I turned it off. That's when I noticed the sign. Rest area 1 mile. I didn't remember passing a sign for it earlier that bothered me more than it should have. The rest area looked wrong. Not abandoned. Just unfinished. The lights were on, but dim yellow sickly, like they hadn't been meant to last this long. The parking lot was empty, but the lines were freshly painted. The building looked old, but the doors weren't boarded up. Like it existed in 2 different times at once. I parked. I don't know why. The moment I shut off the engine, the quiet returned, thick and heavy, pressing against my ears. I stood there with my hand on the door handle, suddenly unsure why I'd stopped at all. I checked my phone. No signal. The time flickered. 12:53. Well, no, Phil. 12:55. I told myself it was a glitch. I stepped out of the car. The air felt colder near the building, not nighttime cold, indoor cold, like the temperature had been drained instead of lowered. Inside the restroom, the lights hummed softly, too softly. Mirrors were clouded, like they hadn't reflected anything clearly in years. While washing my hands, I realized something. I couldn't hear my own breathing. I leaned closer to the mirror. For a second, just a second, I thought my reflection was delayed, like it hadn't caught up to me yet. I left immediately. Back in the parking lot, something had changed. My car looked farther away. Not physically, logically. Like the distance between me and it didn't feel consistent. That's when I noticed someone standing near the trees, not moving, not watching. Just standing. I didn't call out. I didn't wave. I walked faster behind me. I heard footsteps, but they didn't match mine. Mine were uneven, nervous. The others were slow, perfectly spaced. When I reached my car, my hands were shaking so badly I dropped the keys. When I bent to pick them up, I saw feet in my peripheral vision. Bare. Too close. I stood up too fast and hit my head on the door frame. When I looked again, no one was there, but the feeling remained. That I had been noticed. Not threatened. Chosen. As I drove away, I checked the rearview mirror. The rest area was gone. No lights, no building, just trees. I slammed the brakes, heart pounding. The road behind me was empty, no turn-off, no sign, no evidence anything had ever been there. My GPS recalculated, then recalculated again, then displayed a message I've never seen before. Read on ever they, the radio turned on by itself. Not static this time, whispering, low, calm, almost kind. I couldn't make out words, just intention. Like something reassuring you while deciding what to do with you, I accelerated. The whispering grew louder, not aggressive, curious. I didn't look back again. I didn't stop until I reached another town, lights blazing, people everywhere. Only then did the feeling lift, like pressure releasing from my chest. Later that night I searched for that rest area. It doesn't exist. No records, no closures, no construction. Nothing. But sometimes when I drive at night and the road is empty for too long, my radio crackles and for half asleep. It feel read the highways drinking the sea from still paying attention. Because I think the world doesn't want every all. Just no one to start. There's a moment on long highways when you realize you haven't seen another car for a while. At first it feels peaceful, then it doesn't. I was driving across state lines for a new job. Everything I owned was in the back seat. It was close to 2 a.m. I'd planned to stop earlier, but the road kept stretching ahead of me, empty and hypnotic. No headlights in front, no taillights behind, just darkness. And then headlights appeared in my rearview mirror, far back, barely visible. I remember feeling relieved. Finally another human being. For a while they stayed distant, same speed as me, not gaining, not falling behind, just there. Comforting. Until I realized something strange. Every time the road curved, they didn't disappear behind the bend. Their light stayed perfectly centered in my mirror, as if the road wasn't affecting them at all. I slowed down slightly. They slowed down. I sped up. They matched me. No hesitation. Just perfect synchronization. I couldn't see the shape of their car. The headlights were too symmetrical, too still. No bounce, no vibration from the road. Like they weren't attached to anything. I told myself I was overthinking it. Until I blinked. And they were closer by a lot. Close enough that I should have seen the grille, the windshield, the outline of a driver. But there was nothing. Just two headlights suspended in darkness. My phone buzzed, no service all night, yet suddenly a notification. Unknown number. No message preview. Just don't let it pass you. I stared at it, pulse hammering. Another buzz, it doesn't like being behind. I tried calling the number. No connection. When I looked back at the mirror, the headlights were right on my bumper. So close they should have been blinding me. But they weren't casting light onto my car, they were just there. Like painted onto reality. Panic makes you stupid. I switched lanes to let it pass. There was no one else on the road, no reason not to. The moment I moved over, the headlights drifted into the other lane. Slowly, deliberately, pulling up beside me. My heart was pounding so loudly I could hear it over the engine. As the lights reached my passenger window, I turned my head. There was no car, no metal, no driver, just darkness. And inside that darkness, movement, not outside, inside. Like something was sitting where a driver should be, but the dark itself was hiding it. Watching me. The headlights flickered once, and then they were ahead of me, leading. About 50 feet in front of my hood. I hadn't seen them accelerate, they were just suddenly there. Another notification. Now stay behind it. The message felt less like advice and more like instruction. I tried slowing down, the headlights slowed. I tried changing lanes, they changed first, blocking. Always in front, guiding. The road ahead started looking unfamiliar. The GPS still showed the correct highway, but the signs didn't match what I remember. Exit numbers were wrong, town names I'd never heard of. The trees along the roadside looked taller, leaning slightly inward. I checked the time. 2:17 a.m. I blinked. 3:02 a.m. My stomach dropped. There had been no feeling of time passing, no gradual shift, just miss it. The headlights ahead began to dim slightly, like they were breathing. Bright, bright, soft. And with every pulse I felt more tired, heavy, like I should just follow. Like thinking required effort I didn't want to spend. Another message, it's easier if you don't fight it. That snapped something in me, I slammed the brakes hard. My car screeched, the headlights ahead stopped instantly, not gradually, instantly. They didn't react like a vehicle. They reacted like something aware. For a full 5 seconds we were frozen on the highway. Then the headlights turned toward me, not the car. The lights themselves rotated as if they were eyes, and for a split second I saw the outline around them. Not metal, not glass, something tall, unnaturally tall. Unfolding upward from the road, I threw the car in reverse without thinking. The headlights flickered violently, my radio exploded into static, and every semblant back into darkness. No headlights, no bulb, no passcode lights, nothing. Mattress trim backers perkten soldet in zijn mannen morgen mij krieden over de verraffen uitstekken. Contained no me. No one cries my stretch at it says my phone like no notifications, no unknown number, no missed crash. I can't make 6 to and either might lost in my 4 hours. I took my miles, I hadn't none more than 2 miles in my fresh lair. Towards 2 miles in 4 hours, I don't cry that light anymore. Had some dreams in them what a highway to view as hadn't seen another car for a long time. It's your here. If you're just a fraction of a second. If you did see me. Frogger. Break the quicksand. Waiting in the say one enough again. There's something about long highways at night. They don't just take you somewhere. Sometimes they take you somewhere else. I was driving back from a family funeral. It was already a heavy night. I hadn't slept much. My thoughts kept looping. Memories, regrets, things I wished I'd said. The highway was nearly empty. 3 lanes long, stretches no cities for miles. I was somewhere between towns when I noticed something odd. An exit sign. Bright green. Reflected. Fresh. Exit 1 setting Miller's Grove, a mile. I'd driven this highway dozens of times. There was no exit 1 set it. It went from 18.6 straight to 18.8. I knew that for a fact. I even remember joking once about how they skip when he said it. I told myself maybe I was misremembering. Maybe construction added a new one. But something about the sign bothered me. It looked newer than everything else. Cleaner. Brighter, like it didn't belong to the same road. The next sign came up fast. Exit 1 said a 1 mile. I felt this strange pull in my chest, not curiosity. Not quite fear. Just a sense that I should take it. I didn't need gas, I didn't need food, but the thought of continuing straight suddenly felt wrong, like I'd be missing something important. I wish I could tell you I ignored it. I didn't. I took the exit. The ramp curved downward into fog, not thick fog, just enough to blur the edges of things. At the bottom was a small road leading into trees, no town lights, no buildings visible. Just a narrow 2-lane road and a wooden sign. Welcome to Miller's Grove. The wood looked old, but the lettering looked freshly carved. My headlights caught something strange. There were no tire marks, no recent tracks. The road surface looked untouched, like it had been waiting. I should have turned around. Instead, I drove forward. The trees leaned inward slightly over the road, not enough to touch. Just enough to feel like a tunnel. After about a mile, I saw houses, small ones, single-story. Lights on inside. Warm yellow fontaines. And there were no cars and driveways, no porch lights, no movement burned the windows. It looked staged like a movie set on the simple neighborhood. Too cool. And then there was something worse. There were no street signs. There were no numbers. There were no signs. I had lights on full beam and every kiss the side. At the houses. Had to change. Not even my own tie. The light just started changes. Like there wasn't a love that got afraid of my just trading. I tried to blow up my GPS, no sin. The mad scream was poignant, some for a single bite. And I'm over and sitting in the brave for at the time someone stepped onto the warhead. No, they're not. We're just smiling politely like you've been expecting. A solid instinct of read and waved in just to just stood there watching waiting. I'm holding up and do die slightly. Is this one I scroll? I asked to cut to the snake slightly. Yes, he said calm me his first standard turquoise. Turquoise, even though he was struck 10 feet away. To just more fear he asked. A question for a run that he already knew the answer. No, I said slowly. I was just passing, girl. His mother widened just sang. Know that many people just passing, girl. Your don't heavy, thicker. I realized. Where kid was standing on the porch is none than one them church and old fists in the road, all serried and all smiling the same exact smile that the kitty just all smiling the same exact smile like they practiced it. I put the car in reverse, the man's expression didn't change. You missed your exit, he said softly. Behind me. Headlights. Blocking the road back. Two perfect white lights. Suspended in the fog. Not attached to a vehicle, just hovering there. Waiting. My pulse was roaring in my ears. I turned the steering wheel sharply and drove onto someone's lawn, tires tearing through grass, no resistance, no bumps. The ground felt smooth, unnaturally smooth. As I drove between the houses, I glanced at the windows. There was nothing inside. No furniture, no rooms. I hit the gas harder. The fog thickened. The houses blurred, the headlights behind me multiplied. One became three, three became dozens, perfectly aligned, watching. And suddenly, I was back on the highway, speeding, heart pounding. No fog, no exit ramp behind me. Just empty road stretching for miles. I slammed the brakes and looked at the mile marker. There was no 187, no sign of a ramp, nothing. Like it had never existed. When I got home, I searched for Miller's Grove. In that state, there isn't one. Not even then historically, but sometimes when I drive that highway at night, I notice something new. There's a faint green reflection in the distance, like a sign catching headlights, and for just a second I feel that pull again. The gentle suggestion that maybe I should take the exit this time. Because maybe, this time, they won't let me leave.